you like what you see, don't forget to smash that like button, share it, or subscribe. For all the latest Atlas info, sign up for our newsletter, shop.atlasrr.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And most importantly, enjoy the show.
Welcome, model railroaders and Atlas fans, to the 2024 fall catalog for Atlas number 6, volume 6 in the 100th anniversary celebration. My name is Andy Edleman, and I'm joined by Matt Moceikis and Ross Medine from Atlas. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Doing good.
Outstanding.
Excellent. You guys survived York and everything all right?
Just barely.
Well, I apologize for not being there in your booth. For those that don't know, I did suffer a tremendous injury. Sheared my Achilles tendon off while jumping over a puddle crossing the street. Believe it or not. I had a single-digit handicap in golf, and that's going to be ruined now as I recover for the next 12 to 18 months. So despite the happy veneer one sees in my face, I'm very depressed right now. But I did miss seeing you guys at York, and I assume the catalog went over well.
Yeah, received great. Got 2 new awesome freight cars in there that we'll talk about in a little bit. And
indeed.
Yeah, it was an exciting show for us.
All right. Well, we'll jump into the catalog and go through it page by page. For those of you who are watching live or by tape, they don't say tape anymore, but if you're watching the stream later, you can page through the catalog yourself by going to atlasrr.com. And is that the right email address or website address? Did I get that?
Is
Shop Atlas. Gotcha. And download the PDF and follow along with us as we go through the catalog. You can see on the cover, we've got a GP30, and we'll just jump right into this thing. And between the 3 of us, we'll have a little commentary about each paint scheme. And if anybody pops up with questions, we'll try to answer them. And as always, I always encourage people, when you have a question or something and we don't get back to you through a stream, email us. There's a contact link on the website, because that's how we and all the other manufacturers get feedback. It's critically important to how we shape the product line. So don't hesitate to ask questions and make suggestions. We really, really respond to that and appreciate that when that happens. Okay, so let's just jump in here. And obviously on the cover, as I mentioned, is a GP30. And the GP30 is a former MTH tooling that MTH sold to Atlas back in 2021. For those of you who remember that purchase, a bunch of tools in the Atlas, in the MTH Premier line, went over to Atlas. And this is the first run of the GP30 in the Atlas liveries, Atlas packaging and whatnot. It does include Protosound 3 and last produced by MTH in 2020, but not in any of the paint schemes in this year's offerings, except I believe for Santa Fe. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got 6 different paint schemes, and as we get through these, whoever wants to jump the gun and go into it, have at it.
Sure. We're starting off with Conrail. We have 2 road numbers with Conrail. They were a pretty decent GP30. I guess they inherited them because they came from the Pennsylvania Railroad and Penn Central, and they ended up in Conrail, so they're pretty notable with 2250 horsepower. And, you know, the styling of GM, they have a very iconic look to them. These are kind of the hot rod of the day. They're very unique. They were the only diesel to really receive that styling there. So we're pretty excited to put some paint schemes on there if we move right along.
And the neat thing is, of course, these are twin motor, die-cast chassis, truck sides, pilots, fuel tank, and Protosound 3 with operating diesel smoke.
Yes. Now the thing with these, we have CSX here, another notable user of the GP30. Now these engines we only have available in 3-rail. There's no 2-rail for this run. So we apologize to our 2-rail users, but you will be able to change the wheel sets on there to make it with scale wheel sets.
Yeah, but no scale pilots.
Nope, no scale pilots.
That's correct. And that's the way MTH offered it back throughout their run of them. And again, like I said, the last time was 2020. The next scheme up is KCS.
KCS. What's Matt? What's the paint? What do they call this scheme? Is this like the Ghost? Is that what they call it?
Yep.
Oh my goodness!
Actually known as the Ghost.
The Ghost. It's very plain Jane, but somehow people love it.
They're the only railroad to paint locomotives white like that because they get really dirty, really quick.
dirty.
Yeah. Right, incredibly dirty. But at least the underbody is black. I mean, they had some sense, right?
Yeah, but it didn't last too long. They went to gray a little bit after that.
So L&N is another really notable user of the Jeep 30. These are we're trying to show the Southeast some love in this catalog, so we're very happy to have L&N on the roster here. It's very pretty, but also incredibly gray.
Incredibly gray.
It's very
pretty
gray.
gray.
There we go. So here's our fan favorite from the Northeast here, the Reading and Northern. Some say this is the OCS paint scheme, but they're mostly in freight service now anyway. But it's maroon. I believe MTH did the green scheme.
Yes, MTH did do the green scheme. So this is a new scheme for this model for O gauge between the MTH and Atlas offerings. Otherwise, I think the scheme was the same, just green instead of the maroon.
Yes, and these versions have ditch lights, and we're very pleased to put ditch lights on these.
Yeah, and the ditch lights, they can be controlled under DCS operation. The default setting out of the box is whenever you blow the horn, the ditch lights flash. You can turn the ditch lights on full on and run it that way if you want, or you can turn the flashing on for all time, and they'll, as soon as the engine's powered up, they'll start flashing. So there's a number of different ways that you can control it using DCS. Conventionally, out of the box on AC power, when you blow the horn using any old AC transformer like a Lionel ZW or an MTH Z4000, the ditch lights will flash. But under DCS, you can really narrow down your controls and do whatever you want to do, including running them without being on. So you got a number of different options there.
A lot of features, which is, we love that. Jam-packed with features.
And then next up, I believe, is the Santa Fe. Yes,
the Santa Fe. Yep. And you said before MTH did Santa Fe, correct?
Yeah, let me just quickly give a quick gander here on that one.
A different scheme?
I think it was the same scheme. Let's see, real quick here. Yes, exactly the same scheme. MTH did cab number 3233. So totally different scheme, totally different number, obviously, but same scheme. Actually, MTH had silver truck sides. I'm not sure if that was correct or not. That was done back in 2007, so quite some time ago.
Well, the Santa Fe, I mean, they had all kinds of paint schemes with variations, so they're probably both correct, but I like the Reading and Northern, so don't judge me on that one.
Absolutely. We'll not hold it against you. Okay, so GP30s, and we go on to the Premier ES44. And the ES44 is also a former MTH tooling. And this is the second production run, I believe, right, guys? Offered by Atlas since the purchase in 2021.
This is Atlas's second production of the ES44s.
Yep.
And it's such a popular and common locomotive today that we're going to try to announce these at least yearly. Especially with the Premier factory, we cycle through pretty quickly from announcement to delivery. So our first road name we got here for this new run is Canadian Pacific Kansas City. Cool merger that happened earlier this year in the summertime. It's been talked about for quite a few years. They hit a lot of snags along the way with this merger. But Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern were finally able to merge together, making one large North American rail network from Canada all the way down to Mexico. And we're going to see these units all over the country soon with this new paint scheme. And the road numbers.
Is this railroad, where does it stack up now with size-wise compared to, say, BNSF or Norfolk Southern or CSX?
Probably trackage-wise, they're the largest.
It's absolutely massive.
Yeah. Motive power-wise, they're probably the same as BNSF and Union Pacific.
Cool.
really massive network now.
Right.
And
And so maybe we'll see some combination of different paint schemes, or do you think this is the kind of livery we'll see on all the railroad engines as they go?
We don't. When these mergers happen, railroads like to jump ahead of themselves and do a merger paint scheme. We saw that with Burlington Northern Santa Fe. When Union Pacific took over Southern Pacific, there was some weird combinations. So I wouldn't bank on this being the first and last Kansas City Southern paint scheme. I think we might see
no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for now, we got 2 road numbers. You can see the little KCS sublettering underneath the road number. Our other road number has CP sublettering underneath it.
Right.
So from one of each.
And unlike the GP30s, this engine is available in 2 and 3 rail, with the difference between the 2 rail and the 3 rail offerings being a fixed pilot and the KD compatible couplers, right?
Yes.
That's correct.
Yep.
Fixed pilot is a huge thing for guys doing 3 rail in scale.
Right. So for those of you who don't know, one of the neat things about these locomotives is when they're offered both ways, you could buy the 2 rail version with the fixed pilot because you want the realism that comes with that, and then pull those wheels out. They bottom load from the bottom of the truck itself. So probably 4 to 6 screws will remove a plate on the bottom of the locomotive, and then you can drop in the high rail wheel sets and put it back together, and it runs just fine and looks a lot better than obviously the floating pilot that we have to have in 3 rail for the tight curves. So something to think about if you're really looking for a locomotive that looks realistic from the pilot standpoint and the smaller coupler. Anytime you see these Premier engines being offered in 2 and 3 rail, that means that 2 rail version, there is a fixed pilot, and you can convert it over easily to 3 rail. Takes literally just about 5 minutes to do. Super simple.
Yeah, and surprising amount of people are doing that. Talking to people at York who are all about the scale pilot and scale coupler, but they still want to keep their 3 rail track.
Yep. Well, they've spent years putting down those layouts, right?
Yeah.
So why not? And I think Atlas needs to be commended for continuing to offer the 2 and 3 rail versions in the hobby. It's a dedicated marketplace, very small, but a dedicated marketplace, and using tricks like this to kind of bridge over between the 2 and 3 rail communities is a great way to keep both communities engaged with what's being offered, and allows Atlas to appeal to everybody in the high rail and 2 rail markets in O-scale. So cool idea, and neat to see it happening. And like I said, for folks looking at these catalogs, whenever you see a Premier offering in 2 and 3 rail, that means you have that fixed pilot. You can run it either way. By the way, if you wanted to, you could run the 2 rail on the 3 rail track. You could put the pickup rollers on, but you have the scale wheel, so you only want to do that on a flat top rail. A rounded tubular rail, you're going to derail. You'll be limited to your turn as well, your radius.
Atlas track is a flat top rail.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Right,
So,
21st century nickel silver track, baby.
there you go. Okay, up next, let's see.
I believe it's the pretty in purple.
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
sir.
Atlantic Coastline Heritage Unit for CSX.
So,
Whoops. No, you go, Andy.
I jumped past there. Sorry. Let me go back. Well, now I've gone too far. Hold on. There we go. Sorry. So this is one of those merger roads, right? And I always get confused about what railroad is it? Is it Atlantic Coastline or is it CSX? So you guys correctly call it CSX and then an ACL Heritage, and I think the other manufacturers would call it an ACL CSX Heritage.
Oh no! In CSX, they made a lot of rail fans are upset that the whole thing isn't Atlantic Coastline. You can see that the cab still maintains its CSX identity, but from a corporate standpoint, it's smart because non-trained people won't understand that it's a CSX Heritage Unit. They'll just say, oh, it's an Atlantic Coastline engine, and not think of CSX at all. So CSX is doing something a little different than all the other railroads in keeping corporate identity on the cab and letting the long hood be all pretty and heritage-like.
Yep, it makes sense. And It's kind of a hodgepodge, right, of paint schemes.
Yeah. And
If I had to say, I think the ACL scheme would look better overall.
probably
than the CSX scheme,
Overall of it, absolutely. But
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
it's,
it was classier for sure if it was the whole
Yep.
thing. But CSX did do a little cool thing with the road number. It's the year that Atlantic Coastline was founded.
That's right. Yep.
So all these CSX heritage units, CSX did something to show a little tip of the hat towards that railroad.
Right.
Whether it was the year they disevolved or the year they were created, one of the two is honored.
So the downside, of course, is that we're only offering it in one cab number. So,
Yeah. But the upside is CSX has like 20 of these heritage units planned. And they keep pumping them out.
Right. Well, they got a lot of roads behind them, right? They swallowed up a bunch, so that makes sense.
They did.
Next up, another heritage.
Yep, another swallowed up road. Well, Conrail is really it did too well, and then the government sold its assets back to the railroads. I don't know why the government doesn't want to make money, but they didn't want to make money, so they sold it. Conrail and the Conrail quality scheme. It's really cool. We saw this actually pass by our warehouse here in Hillside. We heard it was coming. We all went out to lunch and grabbed shots of it. Very, very cool engine. Great to see in person. At first, I was like, oh, it's kind of like, it looks like a model train. But then I saw it out, and then it was like, oh, it's really cool.
Good.
And you got 1976 on the cab, which is the year that Conrail was put together.
Conrail was like a success story. Like they were so good, they got dissolved. Like
yeah, they were too good to. It was weird.
And they're still around.
Yeah, they came together because the private railroads were failing. Then government oversight put together Conrail, and they actually started making money in the late 80s and 90s. And the government said, "Oh, we no longer need Conrail. We'll sell it back to the private railroad industry." That's the story of Conrail.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of interesting stories in the railroad business, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So then we got one more heritage.
One more heritage unit, which I think one of our dealers is going to be especially pleased with.
Yeah, it happens to be up there in Indiana or something.
Yeah. Monon unit, which is very sharp. I always like the Monon paint schemes. The gold and black. Just simple but classy. And you got the year of Monon's creation on there as well.
Yeah, that railroad, long time, a lot of history behind it for sure. Steam era, diesel era.
Oh yeah.
Crazy. Yep.
Yeah, big little railroad for sure.
Yep.
Lots of equipment over the years, lots of styles of freight cars and passenger service, and you name it, Monon did it.
Yep. And then the last one, this is an interesting one. I'd never seen this scheme before. So when did it come out?
The scheme came out last year, actually. So Florida East Coast was acquired by Ferromex, which is Grupo Mexico. They're a Mexican-based logistics company, and they acquired Florida East Coast, I want to say in 2020.
Okay.
And this particular, they call it, there's actually Ferromex units down in Mexico with the same scheme, and they call it the Zebra Arrow. It's kind of, you got stripes like Canadian National Zebra stripes, and then you also have like the FedEx Arrow behind the cab. And what's cool about these units too is not just the crazy stripes and arrows and really a modern paint scheme with those like Pantone kind of neutral colors. It also has that green leaf in the middle, which simplifies that it's a LPG. It's basically a propane fueled unit. And these ES44s, they have giant tenders in the middle filled with because propane, obviously miles per gallon isn't as good as diesel fuel. So they have giant tenders between the two. Usually there's two per train from Jacksonville down to Miami. And they have two lead units and a big well car with a liquid tank container sitting in there and just full of propane. And that's how they run these.
Interesting.
Yeah, Florida East Coast is a really interesting operation. They because they're a smaller railroad, they can get away with a lot more testing and unique things that the big guys can't.
Right. Pretty cool. All right. So that's it for the two Premier diesels, and that'll move us along to the Master O C424. And when was the last time this locomotive was done, guys?
I believe that was 2009. Does that sound right, Matt?
Sounds right. Let me look in the archive real fast.
Yeah, 2009 is from what I see. This is a Atlas Master locomotive. This is the first time with Proto 3, which is an incredibly large deal. So you'll get smoke, all the features that these engines really didn't have before. And your WTIU, which we'll talk about later, will be the perfect addition to this engine.
And you're right, 2009, which is
2009.
crazy that this is a beautiful looking locomotive too.
Oh yeah,
that long of hiatus, and we're happy to put it back on the market now.
The biggest thing that we get at every train show is when are the O-scale Alcos coming back? And we have an answer, and it's right now. So you're getting an Alco, so stop bothering us. But we're very happy to start. The C424 is the perfect starting point. A lot of paint schemes on this locomotive, and as you can see, they were kind of all over North America. So we're starting with CP Rail with the Pac-Man. It's a very notable Alco user. They had quite a bit of these things up there in Canada. So we're very happy
with the Pac-Man too for Atlas.
Oh, is it? Oh, yes, it is the first time with the Pac-Man. Yes.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's cool, and it's available in 2 and 3 rail, 2 different cab numbers.
2 and 3 rail. You can get it with Proto 3, and you can get an analog version. So that's
2 rail only.
2 rail only.
But 2 rail only. Okay. All right.
Geez, things like a Rubik's Cube of a locomotive. So we're moving right along. So Morristown Erie is kind of a fan favorite of ours. That's up here in New Jersey. They had 2 of these, road numbers 18 and 19, and they ran for quite a long time in New Jersey. These are kind of like the flagship of the Morristown Erie for quite a while. What do you say, Matt? That's kind of right in our backyard, huh?
Line me up for 2.
Yeah, we're going to get 2. But after Morristown and Erie, we got the TP&W. Shout out to Drew, our TP&W guy. But the 800 and the 801 they became the Morristown and Erie 18 and 19. So we decided to include these.
Okay. That's a cool backstory. And 2 different paint schemes with between the 2, right?
That's true. And these are still around today. One is in New Jersey and one is in Illinois. So if you ever want to show some love to these things, go donate to their various homes they have here. But the TP&W is a very unique scheme. I think that's orange. Am I seeing that right? It's like orangey red kind of paint scheme.
Yeah, it's more red. Light red.
Yeah. They had, like, I feel like each TP&W engine had a different paint scheme. They were kind of like, what are we feeling today? So,
yeah.
It looks good, though.
This was during the Santa Fe years.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Which is unique because Santa Fe didn't have many Alcos. And that's probably why Santa Fe sold it off the property, too.
Well, the TP&W, they got, like, Jeep 20s after that. Yeah, that was, like, the really Santa Fe era. But moving right along, we have another home favorite, Delaware Lackawanna. This catalog is getting awfully expensive for me here. But this is 1 road number. The DL has 1 C424. So we're offering this with ditch lights in this, what do they call, corporate scheme, as you say.
I love their corporate scheme. It's just cool. It looks kind of like an Alco demonstrator, but it's not. It's got their own unique flavor to it.
So why does it say Pocono Mountain Route?
So the Delaware Lackawanna, their route is through the Poconos. So each locomotive they have, it'll either say GVT as their parent company, or it'll say Pocono Mountain Route or Friendly Customized Service. It's kind of their way of putting a flavor on the engine to where it normally lives. It's a very cool nod to the routes they run.
Yeah,
but it's quite the route. They put these things to work every day.
Lots of hills and grades. And they're all Alcos.
That's all Alcos. Another very notable Alco road in Ohio is the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad. They have quite a few Alcos. This is their C424, number 4241. I'm pretty sure you can still see this today, pulling your train if you're on the dinner train there. They have a bunch of F-style units in Alcos too, but they have a couple cab units, such as this one. And we're pretty pleased to kind of include the tourist railroads in there. We like to take pride in putting the little guys in there to show some support and get the name out there.
Yep. Very popular, the scenic railroads now.
Oh yeah, and all the at shows, all the workers and volunteers from these railroads all come up to us and thank us. Like,
it's a lot of pride.
We would see a model in our little short line. They're like, you got it, man.
You're like, I love short lines.
We love short lines.
But going back to Conrail, so we have an EL patch. This is really the Conrail patch on the Erie Lackawanna. Conrail, to start out with, had tons of locomotives that look like this. It was easy. Go out there, spray some numbers on it, and spray some letters and let it go. And they ran like this for quite a while. So we're pretty pleased to include it in the run, but we'd be remiss if we didn't include the actual scheme of this, which is the next scheme.
Yeah, it's interesting how they really kind of camouflage the Conrail patch, white on top of gray.
It was quick and dirty, as they say. Erie Lackawanna is next. This is a very notable Alco road. They did run like this for quite a while. It's just a very unique paint scheme, and if there's not that much going on with it, but it's so notable. Like, everyone knows Erie Lackawanna, so we're pretty happy to include that as well.
Yeah, that's a classic Erie scheme for sure. And so is the next one.
Oh man, yeah, Big Blue. There it is. Delaware and Hudson, another super notable road, but they had a little bit of everything, but their Alco power was incredible. This is their Big Blue scheme, as I call it, because it's literally like a giant blue locomotive. With the shields, number 456 and 451. Our R&D manager is a large D&H fan, so if you didn't get the theme yet for all these catalogs, they'll probably have D&H if we can do it.
It's a D&H loco, it's safe to say. It might get a D&H scheme.
Yep.
For sure.
Always like that shield too. It's pretty classy looking.
Yes, with the script.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
The cursive.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's it for the 424s after 2 decades. This reminds me. There is some cool shots. Backups just a smidgen here.
Model
Forward.
pictures.
Yeah, so you may have noticed that the images here were artwork as opposed to images in the rest of the catalog, and that's simply because we ran out of time to get the photos done. Because we didn't have all the samples, right? You had to dig them up out of the archives.
Yes,
it was tricky.
But we did for York. We were able to get a sample to show people at York that yes, these things still exist. We'll make them.
I believe we. What do we bring with us to York? I think we brought the
D&H.
Yes.
Yeah. The CP rail almost made the cut, but Matt said, "No, you take your Pac-Man and get out of here." So,
my trunk was exploding. I couldn't pack another thing. Ross is like, "Let's bring 2 of these."
There you go.
Hold your horses. If you're cold, they're cold. Get your Alcos out of the cold this winter, please.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the industrial rail trolley.
Yeah,
Tell me about this.
Another thing back from the dead, industrial rail.
So when was the last time you ran this?
Oh,
2009. Same year as the Alco, 2009.
There you go, 2009.
How about it?
Long. That's incredibly long time. But it's
so
back.
What's the configuration on this?
It's your basic wood-sided streetcar. It's like a generic trolley representing Main Street, USA.
And does it have the bump and go mechanism in it, like other companies' trolleys?
Okay. The black bumper on there pushes in, and when you hit a bumper, it knows to auto reverse. So it will hit the bumper, pause for a second, and then kick it into the opposite direction. And that pause for a second.
The pause is cool, yeah.
Because you will strip the gears if it doesn't stop.
Right.
That's what made this different from the 2009 run, is they would kind of just like drop into reverse and really destroy themselves.
They would catapult themselves.
Yeah, that's the way most companies do them. Just slams into reverse.
A little pause in between.
Cool. So we got the buy war bonds, and you had this designated as a World War II scheme, right?
That is, and this was actually in Louisville, Tennessee, or Kentucky. Duh, people are gonna kill me out there. Louisville, Kentucky, and it's based on a prototypical war bond scheme, which I thought was really, really pretty when I saw it in our Southeastern trolley book. And we went with it. Yeah, and it's just, if you're a patriotic person, perfect for you.
Well, they sell. Those patriotic schemes always sell, and the war bonds things have done well for other companies. So,
and then electric classic right here, Chicago Milwaukee Electric Railway. They actually had a couple of normal streetcars. They're more known for their larger MU sets that they had running around, but they did have some basic plain Jane wooden streetcars back in the day. And this is a good representation of that.
Great paint scheme.
Yeah, just classic. And this one's actually at the Illinois Railroad Museum, fully restored.
So you can see it in person. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can go see an Alco C424 right next to it.
And you can, yeah. 2 items from our catalog.
All right.
2 items.
And of course, you gotta have fun with it. A little holiday car, a little monster Jacksonville.
I like the window strips with the figures.
That's
the
awesome.
silhouettes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. We had fun with that. Got a little Wolfman, some witches, the
Little Wolfman.
jack-o'-lantern. Wolfman.
I love it.
Now, has Atlas done much in the way of Halloween stuff over the years?
We've just started doing Halloween stuff back in 2020. We've been doing Halloween box cars every year, and we try to do it in all scales. This year we had to cancel the O-scale Halloween car for Halloween, but it's here nor there. But if you're a Halloween person, I know these Halloween dioramas are getting popular, just like the Christmas villages. There's Halloween villages, and this would be a perfect addition around your Halloween village. It would look really, really cool.
It would look really neat.
It's becoming it's a huge retail thing now, Halloween. You wouldn't think it would be, but it is. And I'm not just talking about trains. I mean, just in general. So makes sense to get on with it. And you're absolutely right. People are doing dioramas and seasonal layouts for Halloween, just like they've done for years with Christmas.
Yeah. So if you have a wife or partner that's into Halloween, you got an excuse to buy this.
Buy trains, right?
I'm a trolley.
And back to the prototypical base schemes, we have a Philadelphia Suburban Transit Company, affectionately known as the Red Arrow line. And this is another one that is preserved in a museum. It's up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, in their trolley museum, the Red Arrow number 80. And this is loosely based off of that car. So it's a nice stand-in for our Philadelphia traction fans.
Yeah, I like that scheme too. And the Red Arrow has always been neat. It's been done by some other companies before. They had more than just the trolleys, if I recall. But
they had some larger MU cars and stuff like that.
Yep. Neat. All right. So what are we on to now? Another new tool. Oops, I forgot about the Christmas.
Whoa.
Yeah, one more. I got the Christmas car.
You can't forget Christmas, Andy.
Yeah, I apparently didn't put tell me about this. This is awesome.
This one's really cool, and this one's also partly based in reality. I was going through historic photos on, I forget the site. The site's not important, but anyhow, this is based off of an old photo of a Seattle traction. They decorated up a trolley for their Christmas parade, and it said "Merry Christmas," shot by Streetcar and Bus. And it happened to be the last year of their traction, and they replaced it with buses the year after that. But they had this awesome looking trolley to commemorate that Christmas parade, and we copied it almost nearly exactly, and it looks really, really cool. It's just all the Christmas colors you got going on. Santa Claus on the front, a wreath. Nothing not to like about it.
No, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Cool beans. All right.
So they go around 027, right? As tight as that?
020, yep. Tight as 027. And they also, the best part about these is MSRP price is $99. $99.95 to be exact.
So you're telling me Hold the phone.
Oh, yeah.
I can get a trolley that goes around my Christmas tree, 027 for $99.
You can, and that's
Oh,
an MSRP price as well.
What?
Yes, it's the
That's-
deal of
that's-
the century.
That's the deal. I gotta get 2.
Get 3.
I gotta get 3.
For sure.
Yeah, great value.
Great.
All right. Now that I jumped the gun, so a brand new tooled item coming up here.
That's right. Brand new PS5344 Box Car. I mean, this is so new that I think before York, it literally, the pre-production sample got there like that week. It's incredible. We're starting off with CP rail here. And it has rotating bearing caps. It has beautiful paint schemes. And there are different doors depending on the road names. Correct, Matt?
That is correct. We got 3 different doors. You got the
3 doors.
Youngstown there shown on the drawing. We have a Pullman Standard, and then we have a Superior later style door.
Right. All that.
Yeah. Doors are important.
And
Doors.
has anybody else ever done this car style before? I don't think so, right?
No, this is the first time in O-Scale.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
Oh, yeah. This is the first time. So, of course, we're going all out with the features. It's got new trucks as well, right, Matt? Isn't that like the big deal here, too?
Redesigned Premier freight car trucks.
Redesigned.
So now with rolling bearing caps.
The bearing
70
caps
ton.
are rolling. Okay.
Yes.
Yep. And so it's got more Atlas O style details than the Premier style truck.
Right. Neat.
Now, you're saying, so those Premier trucks, you can also put those on other Premier cars.
Yes. So these new revised trucks, if you think these are the bee's knees and you want to replace them on some of your older Premier rolling stock, you can.
Oh, they are the bee's knees.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good to know.
It is. We're going back to the Rock here. We love the Rock Island in this office. We are a big Rock Island company. I don't know who's a big fan of it, but like I guess collectively we all are.
Well, yeah.
So,
We
like,
just
every single catalog.
it's
Now,
Rock.
yeah, it's the Rock. I don't know, but I know what everyone's thinking. So it is weird that there are 3 road names and not 4. We are going to add a 4th road number to each of these road names. So if you're looking for 4 cars, don't worry, we got you covered.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 4 car numbers for each scheme.
Yes,
Okay.
that is.
And that'll
correct.
be reflected online, I guess.
Yes, once we make the update, I'm assuming it'll be next week. But we had some dealers reach out to us and we said, you know, that you are totally right, and we should have done that.
We had a little oopsie when making the spreadsheet. So
We were just too excited for this brand new car. Look at that, Green Mountain. I'm the biggest Green Mountain guy in the office. That's the car everybody needs.
So let me just drop one thing in here for you. I got the prototypical, I keep saying the model, a photo of the model of the Green Mountain rail. This is the early sample that we received. And our great leader, Paul Graff, just dropped in my office and said, Matt, talk about the flat roof on this car. And what makes this car unique and why we tooled it up was because the Pullman Standard 5344s, unlike the ACF and FMC box cars of the 70s and 80s, these had a flat roof. They're not peaked. So when you have it consist with your other O-scale box cars, and you're like, why do I need this one? This one has easy spotting features that make it significantly different than other O-scale box cars out in the market. And
Man, these cars are around for a long time, weren't they?
Oh, they're from the late mid-70s to today.
Yeah, still around.
They're still out there. Yeah. There's so many still kicking around.
Look at that Green Mountain. Oh, my goodness. Well, we're going to the Guilford here. Boston and Maine, but it's the Guilford scheme. Another super ghostly Halloween-style car. Orange and white. That's amazing how that just came in here before Halloween.
Very
That's
seasonal.
Very seasonal. Love it.
And different door.
Different door. What door is that?
That is the Pullman Standard
That's
design.
the Pullman Standard. Yes. Yeah, it is. What's the significance of Guilford in relation to Boston and Maine?
Guilford was kind of the Conrail of New England.
Yes.
So when Boston and Maine failed and Maine Central was going bankrupt and Delaware and Hudson was having money issues, they all got together and formed Guilford's system. So you'll see whenever you have Guilford locomotives, they'll have BM underneath the road numbers, or MEC, or D&H, or even ST for Springfield Terminal. So all those roads collectively got together and formed Guilford Rail System, which many 1980s and 90s guys love Guilford.
Yeah, it's popular. Yeah,
right. Yeah, it's incredibly popular. Like if you like Conrail, like Guilford was like right there.
Yeah, they had GEs, Alcos, EMDs. They had just a crazy mix of power that didn't make sense, and they put them all together. It was great for rail fans. Be terrible if you're an employee trying to work on all the different locomotives.
Well, that's a neat backstory. It's always interesting about the hobby and real life railroads and how they came about and went away and whatnot. So thanks for explaining that.
Yeah, I love Guilford system.
Yeah, we all love Guilford. Oh my goodness. But moving right along, I think Tex-Mex, right? Yeah, this is the Texas Mexican Railway for our friends down south there. This is a very unique scheme. It's really cool. It's got the star and the orange door. And it's nice to see the more representation of the Texas Mexican Railway out there.
It's kind of like a regional railroad, but it's beloved by people all over the country.
Yeah, it's like a big short line, but kind of a regional.
As Ross said, the logo is just so cool.
It is. It is. You don't know how much trackage they have, do you?
Couldn't tell you. I can look it up.
No big deal. Sometimes you guys are full of those little insights.
Not too much. I know they did go across, hence the name. They did go across the border.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got to have a brown car, right?
I think we're part of CPKC now. Huh.
Yeah, it's part of the CPKC system now.
Oh, here we go. No, you can't have a box car run without a brown box car. You gotta have a brown box car.
No,
so we have Milwaukee Road here.
Yeah.
Plain Jane.
Probably full of beer. Let's hope.
Let's hope.
And there's your other shot of the Green Mountain. So I did stick that one in. Remembered it was in the slide. So.
And we have one more. So this is our MMA State of Maine products car. This is a limited edition collector series model. It's the State of Maine red, white, and blue cars are like very New England. That's like every railroad. Like this came there at some point. It holds potatoes, right? Like wasn't that like the whole thing?
Yeah, originally potatoes from Maine. Back when New Haven and Boston and Maine, like back when all the small guys did it, it would be it was Bangor and Rustic, and
Bangor and Rustic,
and they would paint the cars like this to promote Maine potatoes.
Yes.
And Montreal, Maine, and Atlantic is a modern railroad. They got this car in, I would say, the early 2000s, and it's kind of like a heritage scheme paint car. This is a one-of-one paint scheme, and now it's all graffiti. It's still out there, it's still roaming the rails, but it's all graffitied up and tagged. Doesn't look as pretty as our line art, but it's a legit, real box car. It's a modern car in a transition era scheme, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very notable.
Okay. Well, I like it. That's for sure.
It's all that matters.
It is. All right. Next up, another Premier O car. This one is the Airslide Hopper.
Yeah.
And the Airslide Hopper was some tools that Atlas purchased from MTH back in 2021. It looks like 4 of the 6 schemes that are in this book were never offered by MTH. Santa Fe was done in a different color, and Milwaukee Road was in the same scheme as what we'll see here, but not since 2003. So quite a long time since that scheme has graced any catalog page. And up front first here will be this Maine Sugar.
And the Maine Sugar one is probably my favorite right off the bat. You got the little crude seagull illustrations on there, which is how it really appears in the real car. And it's just mainstay sugars. It's cool, bulk and liquid sugar. So in this case, it would be bulk sugar. And just, if you're a lot of New England love in this catalog, I'm noticing. And unintentionally, we didn't even mean to do that, but if you're an O-scaler in New England, you're lucking out. And
So this is the Milwaukee Road car.
See, and it's not brown. It's colorful.
It's not brown. It's not gray. It's yellow. It's beautiful.
Yellow.
And Milwaukee Road did that with a lot of their hoppers. It wasn't just the Airslides. They're easy to identify. They're Pullman Standard 4750s. For quite a while, Milwaukee Road had yellow covered hoppers, and they just stand out in a yard, make it easy for the crews to identify it.
Now this one, what the heck went in this thing?
It'd probably be the porcelain powder to make the spark plugs. Some sort of condensed powder. That's what I'm guessing, and I'm thinking it would be the porcelain part of the spark plug.
Yeah, most likely. Definitely not full of spark plugs.
No, definitely not.
That makes sense, but you never think about what those things are until you see what's in these cars, until you see something like this with the scheme, because people don't think of the components of a spark plug. They think a spark plug. So then they'll pause, as I just did, and say,
yeah.
what could possibly be inside there? But that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, what kind of powder commodity goes into making a spark plug?
Yeah.
So I think it's or even I think there's some graphite in spark plugs as well. I'm not too sure about that, but I'm not a spark plug expert, unfortunately. The Rock Island again.
Beautiful car, though.
Big Rock Island fans.
Yeah.
See?
Everybody loves that light blue and the big rock. It's just a classic.
Now these will only be 2 car numbers, right?
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice and easy for our dealers and customers too.
Okay. Now who is Staley?
They are a chemical company, and they would sell to other pharmaceutical and plastics companies, kind of like stabilizing powders. And you see, like, there's a lot of Staley tank cars, there's a lot of Staley covered hoppers, and they weren't a company that really made stuff. It's more or less they made compounds for other companies. But they had pretty graphics on their freight cars.
Indeed.
And everybody knows this one.
Everybody does. And again, another red car, so that's good.
Santa Fe.
Not brown. Red.
Love it.
All righty. So moving on now to the Premier 55-foot all-door box car.
The all-door. 7 schemes for the all-door box car.
A whopping 7.
7, starting with the Ashley, Drew, and Northern. Very pretty green all-door box car.
Immediately my favorite.
Yeah, I like that one better. But actually,
explain to everybody what the all-door concept was.
Well, from my understanding, is that it was for wood, right? That was like the whole thing. They were like lumber doors, so you could everything loaded at once. It's
essentially the center beam before the center beam,
right?
Before they invented wrapping lumber, so it doesn't get saturated with,
Well, and the craziest part is this started in the 1960s, then into the 70s, and some of these cars lasted into the 2000s. So I guess for like the northeast or the northwest, I guess this did really help a lot.
It did keep the wood out of the elements, but all those doors and the roof made the car extremely heavy.
Right.
Which railroads found out later that the wheels and brakes, like everything would wear out faster than a standard box car. It was just a very, very heavy door. I mean, heavy design, and
you're putting a lot of time and money into it.
Yeah, that's why there's nothing to center beams, and that's why center beams eventually came out, because they were a lot lighter and did the same job.
Well, and I can only imagine, without the lumber, this car is heavy, but with the lumber, this car must have been like incredibly heavy.
Yeah, and it's just imagine trying to slide with those doors too.
Yeah.
But
they had the multiple doors so that they could access different areas of the car for the loading and unloading.
yes,
Yep.
yeah. But Canadian Forest products or Can4, very colorful scheme. It's interesting later when we get through these, we have a demonstrator scheme that somehow looks very much like this one. But Canadian Forest Products is a very beautiful red and white all-door box car here.
It is, and this run of cars is the first time that Atlas has done these since they purchased the tools from MTH in 2021. And MTH did do a CFP car, but not this scheme. So everything that's in this book is brand new schemes that were never offered before to the O community, right?
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah, these are all brand new, really, besides the Canadian Forest products.
Our fan favorite Georgia Pacific here. You can't have a lumber car without Georgia Pacific.
Nope.
And Lignum.
Now, Lignum is, what is Lignum?
Matt, tell the people about Lignum.
Sounds dirty. I don't know. I unfortunately am stumped.
Uh-oh.
No,
you guys are usually good for having the answers when I throw these questions out.
I can't even make up an answer.
I think you were working on some tough questions here.
Andy's trying to stump us in this one. He's throwing some curveballs.
Apology.
No, it's fun.
Well, this is clearly a Tampa, Florida, Logan Lumber, right?
Great city.
It is fun. Yes.
Logan Lumber. Yes. Matt's favorite. I think this is Matt's either favorite or second favorite car.
My second favorite. And we have a
Macmillan, which is a very nice car, red and white. And I guess that was just the scheme here. So now we have the Thrall Demonstrator, which was the concept of this car that I guess it took off from the 1960s. So it's a very pretty car. It would travel around, and I guess they would try it out and see if they liked it, and it took off.
So Paul told me, he chimed in, he said, Lignum is a lumber company. To I said, get out of here. No,
no way.
But he's looking up the headquarters.
So you're telling me that they didn't put spark plugs in this car either?
Lignum's out of Vancouver, British Columbia. So
there we go. Canadian.
All right.
That's why.
Oh, and they have a photo of that car on their website. They're still in business.
Lignum Vitali? Is that it?
Yeah.
I hear him.
There you go. Not to be seen, but heard.
There he is.
All right, Master O. This is a new tooled up item as well, right? Center divider.
The center divider. And if people don't want to look at line art, I also have a quick shot of it.
Oh, good.
That's right. It's real. It exists.
Yeah, we have a decorated sample of it already, which is just nuts.
Our fans at York, they love this car. It's cool. You see the hooks. You see the post. Oh, amazing. Chef's kiss.
So there's a picture of the model itself. Really, really nice, intricate car. You can see all those separately applied grab irons and even the mounting hooks on the center beam there. Really, really beautiful car.
And it is scale. It is the full scale.
We got to show them this gem. Look at the scale of this model.
Look at that. It's like holding my baby boy.
It's a long boy.
Yep.
No, full scale center beam. We've been hearing it for years. We want modern scale equipment and scale. So here you go.
Here you go. Buy 20.
Yep. The first road that
4 different card numbers on these, right?
Yep. That is correct. 4 different, so you can make a big consist of these, which we often see in mixed freight trains now. So we had AOK, which is a leasing company. Then we had BNSF and Canadian National, Desicon. They're not lumber. They are. It's like sheetrock or something.
Oh yes, sheetrock.
Gypsum. Desicon is a gypsum.
Yes, or gypsum. Yeah, there you go.
And which is also sheetrock, I think. And then First Union Rail. TTX. Everybody loves TTX. This is probably by far going to be the number one seller of this run. But I mean, we see these center beams in every single freight train that goes by. Yeah. And if you're a modern guy, you just have to have at least one, if not 3.
I'm noticing on this art that I'm seeing through the car. Is there some kind of load that will come with this car?
There is a load that goes on this car.
Whoa.
We'll have simulated wrap lumber loads. So those vinyl wrapped 2x4s that you see all decked out, your car included in the price there will be a load. So even
It's
though
included in the price, oh my! I'm gonna get 5. I gotta get 5.
why not get 6? Nope. So included in your price, you will receive a simulated wrap lumber load. Different row names will have different lumber companies on them, and we'll switch them around. And maybe in the second run, we'll have some loads available for separate sale.
Well, I meant to show that. We had a picture of it, but
We got a picture. We have the
We have the
So what do we got here?
Well, we're moving right along to the Trainman 526 Gondola. This is a DT&I. We get a lot of requests for DT&I, so we are listening. And they had a lot of these in mill service. The gondolas are like every railroad had gondolas. So DT&I is the start. Next one, please. Then we have Reading and Northern. Are you sensing a theme here yet? Because I sure am. Reading and Northern in 2 different numbers with the arrows. We have RF and P in black because gondolas weren't really the prettiest thing, but they looked pretty nice. Vermont Railroad.
It's pretty.
Sensing theme. It is pretty. I love Vermont Railway with the peaks. I do. I love it. And then we have Western Pacific. And the last one is Conrail. So these are available in 2 and 3 rail. We have 2 numbers for each scheme. They are Trainman, but they have separately applied ladders, brake wheels, brake lines. They have accurate painting and lettering, the die-cast trucks, weighted detailed underframes, and there are body-mounted couplers as well as scale wheels on the 2-rail version. They fit right in with the Masterline equipment.
They really do.
They're nice.
Yeah, they look good. When was the last time you ran these? Do you remember?
Do I remember? Oh, I could do it with a click of a button. Let's see. Nope, don't remember.
Been a while though, right?
It has been quite a while. 2018.
18. Okay.
2018. So it's time to bring it back, and you can run it behind your GP30 and restore it and run it on the main line.
Restore it and run it on the main.
Yep.
Nothing like it.
Now, the big announcement here. So we are an authorized seller of the WTIU. Andy, we had a WTIU in our booth, didn't we?
You did. I saw it when I was there Thursday.
It was there. It was physically there.
So the WTIUs are slated to arrive the first week of November. So just I think first or so they'll get into Baltimore, and MTH will start shipping them out to Atlas and all of the other retailers that have them on order, probably by the end of that first week of November. For those of you who don't have auto updates turned on your phone for your apps, you'll need to make sure that the app is updated to the latest version, because the old versions will not run the WTIU. So make sure you turn on the updates. I don't know if it'll prompt you to do that or if it'll just say we can't see the TIU or the WTIU. I tried to do it at York in the MTH booth so I could mess with those guys because I was undercover and on my knee scooter with my shredded Achilles, and I couldn't do it because my phone had not updated to the latest version. And I'm not even sure what that version number is. But anyway, you'll have to do that for iOS and Android. And then from there, the hookup is exactly the same as the old TIUs. It's just an all-in-one box. And what that means is the Wi-Fi interface is built into the TIU. That's why it's called a WTIU, for Wi-Fi track interface unit. And you'll be able to run any Protosound 2 or Protosound 3 locomotive. And obviously that includes all the Atlas ones that have Protosound 3. You'll be able to control any conventional locomotives, those being locomotives that don't have a command control protocol interface built into them. So that could be old Lionel, it could be old Atlas, it could be anybody else's stuff. And there are different operating modes, a traditional mode, conventional operation, which means that you're varying the amount of current that goes out of the WTIU to the track. So that's how you'd run an old train. And this device, unlike the previous TIUs, has the ability to regulate the DC output as well as AC output. Previously, you couldn't control DC powered trains. And so now let's just shift scales and say G scale or HO scale or conventional 2-rail DC locomotives. You'll be able to run those with your phone using this device because it will now output conventional DC power, and you can regulate it from 0 volts up to whatever the transformer is outputting. And that's kind of cool because then you can run different generations of locomotives on the same track. You can run Protosound 3 engines with a conventional AC or DC locomotive on the same track at the same time. Previously, you could only do that for AC. It's a little tricky. You're jumping back and forth between modes, but it can be done. And it really shows how the technology is bridging the gap from the beginning of model railroading up to the present day. Lionel customers who have TMCC or Legacy who are using the cab, not the cab one, whatever their new thing is called. What is that thing called?
Oh, Cab 3?
Cab 3, thank you. You'll be able to run those with the app. You'll plug in that hardware to the TIU, and you'll be able to run those. So you can run basically anything that's on the rails today with this technology. I think they're getting a split shipment in. So if you had it on order with your dealer and they didn't completely sell out, you'll have them all. If they did sell out, some people may not get them all until later in December. I think the second run comes in. So if you had it on order, go pick it up when it comes in, because if you wait, my guess is with the month apart between the two shipments, some pricing might go up. Who knows? People, supply and demand kind of deal. But anyway, the full run will be out fully by the end of December, and there's still units to sell at MTH, from my understanding. So shouldn't be a shortage of them, and they'll continue to make these year in and year out. So they're super excited about it. Atlas is super excited about it, and it's a nice way to, move forward with this Protosound 3 and DCS technology as it goes along. So it's going to be kind of cool.
Absolutely. We're going to Train Fest, and we should have in our booth a WTIU with our new iPad. Thank you, Tom. We'll be doing some demonstrations in there, and we'll show everybody how it works. And we're just as excited that it's coming in. There's so much excitement about these at York. Not even funny.
Oh yeah, everybody was like,
we could have sold ours for $1,000.
Oh yeah, and the guy's offering us ridiculous sums of money for it. Let me have it now.
No surprise.
We said Rich would kill us. Rich would get a frying pan and eat us.
He would chase us around the parking lot.
Exactly. All right, so I think that's all the news. You've got, of course, we got track layout software.
We have
here in the
one
back
more thing,
and one more thing on the back cover.
Yes.
Let's talk about these. Let's get. Oh, I got to hit play. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
So we have our limited edition collector series Premier Gunderson High Cube box cars for Christmas. Ironically, they'll be here around Halloween, but they're here before Christmas, and that's what matters. They have figures on the inside, Mr. and Mrs. Claus, a Christmas tree. They light up around the outside. We have number 1224 and 1225. Very attractive, and it is actually based off of a real box car, right, Matt?
That is not a real paint scheme, but the Gunderson,
similar.
It's actually me and Jarrett dreamt it up. We're like, what if we put Oakleys on Santa Claus and put lights on the car? And we thought of this in China when we were over there. Like, we should do a Christmas car this year. And Jarrett really wanted to incorporate like a modern day Santa Claus, so he's got they're not Oakleys. What do you call them?
Ray-Bans.
No,
they're not Ray-Bans. I remember looking at
them. Pit Vipers? Or they're not
Pit Vipers. They're like the Pit Vipers.
Okay.
This company, I tell you.
Yep. Yeah, so Santa Claus is wearing a cool pair of shades on there.
Pit Vipers on Santa Claus.
And he's also inside of the car, as well as a Christmas tree and Mrs. Claus and a little elf as well.
Doesn't the Christmas tree have a train at the bottom?
It does.
Yes.
And
doesn't run, just a train, but yes.
So those figures, they're available separate sale as well. These cars are $114.95. On our website, on the homepage, shop.atlasrr.com. You can click on the banner. It'll take you to the link to these cars. They're selling incredibly fast. Not to sound like a used car salesman, but buy now. They're selling incredibly fast.
Yeah.
While supplies last.
Well, that's awesome, guys. Again, folks, appreciate you tuning in and watching this thing. And if you have any questions about what you saw, certainly email us. Go to the contact link on the website, and we'll get answers to you as quickly as we can. And we'll look forward to seeing you the next go around. Quarterly catalogs, is that what I heard from you, Matt?
Yeah, quarterly catalogs is a plan until otherwise. So every quarter, look for your new Atlas O, and as well as Atlas H, O, and N, and sometimes Z scale now. So,
sometimes Z, when you want a piece of dust derails your trains. Wednesday, November 20th is the last day to pre-order for this catalog. So please go to the hobby shop or dealer or distributor of your choice. We don't want to have anyone miss the trains that they want. There's a lot of good stuff in this catalog. Go to shop.atlasrr.com. And other than that, that's all I got. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
That's it all.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, guys.
See you later.